if, the business class cabin is 40% unoccupied, they're going to release more and more of these seats to, the points and the miles piece.
I had a business partner of mine, and it was so annoying because we'd be like, we would have the flights booked or whatever, and he'd wait till the last minute. I'm like, dude, are you not getting screwed over? Because I would always buy, maybe again, when I was a mission planner in the Air Force, we'd get the orders from headquarters 3 weeks before we flew the mission. So in my mind, like I'm still like this. I wake up to go to the airport 4 hours and 15 minutes before my flight, and I still book my flights 21 days before I go out. This is this is my Air Force mentality.
Yep.
But you're saying last minute flights are something better to do.
Yeah, so especially, if we look at it, there's two ways to book this flight. There's going to be cash, and then we've got these points we're talking about. Yeah. So generally, talking cash, as we get closer to departure, a lot of time, majority of times your cash flights are going to go up. And the panic is like, oh, I got to book this. They're going to go up. With points, though, it's almost the opposite, where it's actually going to be in your benefit to book last minute. Most of my flights, every now and then I've got one that's way, way, way out in advance. But essentially, if you think about it like this, is the airlines want somebody's butt in the seat, no matter what.
Yes.
They'd rather be bringing in revenue. But at the end of the day, if the business class cabin is 40% unoccupied, they're going to release more and more of these seats to, the points and the miles piece, where all of a sudden, an airline mile, that's a debt or a liability to the airline.
Yeah.
So if we can't bring in the revenue, let's open these seats up so that we can decrease the debt or liability. And obviously, they said they want people to sweat, get a little nervous, and pay cash. But as we get closer, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, and even days up, that's when they start really releasing all these seats. So really that last minute is kind of the prime time.
So when you say last minute, you mean like within 4 days, not like actually walking up to the airport?
Hey, at the end of the day, I've absolutely booked flights for that same day, or I've had flights booked that maybe a day or two before. Well, maybe I was in business class, and guess what? Well, first class just opened up. So I'm gonna fly first class instead. So they really make you squeeze, but essentially that sweet spot starts to open up starting at around 6 weeks, and then 4 weeks, 2 weeks, and then literally leading into day of departure. So huge opportunity, to kind of do it on the last minute. And then the other side of that is you want to be way in advanced. So let's say you're trying to plan a bucket list trip for, a year from now. The more planning you can do ahead of time and get that booked as soon as those seats get released with like the dates and everything, that's great too, to be way in advance.
So you're saying in these loyalty programs, a specific flight might not have any ability to use points on, but you could be waiting until the end and then all of a sudden it pops up.
Yeah, correct. So there's kind of like two ways. So basically when we're talking about these transferring of the points, let's just say this, the seat's either going to be available for points or it's not. Okay. So, ideally we want to find a seat that's available. We can then and only then transfer our points and book it. Well, let's just say this is a need flight. Like I can't screw around and wait. Maybe it'll pop. Well, we can still use points. You can go right through Chase Travel and redeem your points for 1.5 cents each.
Yeah.
You needed a flight, you had points, you got it covered. But that goes back to that fixed value thing where it's 1.5 cents per point. If we do find those seats available through the partners off the award charts, we might be able to book that same flight for, a quarter of the amount of points. You get what I'm saying? So, breaking away from that fixed value. So it's kind of like a little game of cat and mouse. But essentially said when you can find those flights that are available, that's where the sweet spot is for the points. But if you're strategic with your points and your cards, at the end of the day, if you have to go through the travel portals to redeem your points, it's still a win.
Yeah.
But there's ways to hit the home runs. And if you can hit a couple home runs and have some singles in the mix, that's at the end of the day, that's all you could hope for.